video all 4 liters. Today on Muddy Beards 4x4, I'm going to show you how to replace your power steering pump in your Jeep Wrangler. I'm upgrading mine to a PSC power steering pump TJ replacement, and I'm putting a power steering cooler in it. Okay guys, if you've watched any of my four-wheeler videos, my power steering pump has been needing to be addressed for quite a while now. So, one of my buddies, Nate, from Bleepin' Jeep, he upgraded his power steering system, and he gave me this power steering pump right here. It's a WJ pump off of, I think, 01 to 04 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's an upgraded pump because of the output. It actually, in those years, they had a hydraulic cooling fan, I believe, which is run off the power steering system, which is why they need a little bit extra output. So this is a bolt-in upgrade. There's just a couple little modifications. There's some videos out there on how to do it. And also he has a threaded bung welded in here so he can run an external reservoir. So this one is modified that way. So my plan was to run this with an external reservoir on my Jeep. The way the factory style reservoir is, these pumps are a gravity fed system. So the reservoir has to be basically above it or higher than the pump for it to feed into it. It doesn't really suck the fluid in very well, so it needs to be gravity fed. So I had this really mounted up really high, but for some reason it just didn't feed the pump. It just didn't work. So I messed around with some more. I changed out the valving from the WJ pump into the TJ pump to see if it gave me a little bit better output, and I ran it for just around the block, and it didn't really feel any different, except my pump was still super loud. I bought the PSC factory TJ replacement pump, SP1205. So this is not a performance pump in the fact that it is a higher output, I don't believe. This is just a factory replacement, brand new. Hopefully it's going to last a lot longer, be quieter, and work a lot better. These reman pumps is about $90, and this pump was $190. So I decided to just bite the bullet, and I didn't want to mess with it anymore. Also here I got power steering puller, remover, installer kit. You can get it at your local parts store. This one was about $40, and I'm renting it. So you buy it for $40, you use it, you take it back, they give you your $40 back. So it's free. So let's take this thing apart and get started. Now that I got this thing off of my Jeep, I'm going to take the reservoir off, pull the pulley off, and then install it all onto the new pump. So there's these little, spill oil everywhere, but there's these little tabs here. You can see I just have this laying around. You can probably use a screwdriver, but I have a pick, and you're going to want to pry that up. And this is just what I have laying around right now next to me. So prying this up and then just hitting it with a hammer. Slides right off. Probably be easier if you pull the pulley off first, because then you have room to come in behind it and tap it off. Man, this old ball-peen hammer, this was my great-grandfather's ball-peen hammer, and the wooden handle broke off of it years ago. I just put a screw through it and tightened it up so I could still use it, and I never replaced the handle on it, which I should. But this comes in handy a lot actually. It's got this little handle. Pull this reservoir off. Popped out. So there's going to be an O-ring right here. I'm going to inspect it, make sure that it's not super dried out and damaged before I reuse it. And it looks really not too bad. So I put the O-ring back onto the reservoir. Oh man. Just spilled that all over the place. So I want to put a little bit of fluid onto this O-ring so it's not dry when you try to slide it on here. Then reinstall our clips. The old hammer. Okay, now that's done. Now I have two options here for my power steering pulley. This is actually from the 98, and this is from, I think, a 2002 or something. And you can see a difference. And actually, I believe this is metal, and this one's plastic. What I think I'm going to do is, I'm going to use the one off the 97 because it's all metal. Okay, so this puller, you can see it has two clamps, like a clamshell, that's going to go around it. It's going to pull it off. Now I got the reservoir installed and the pulley installed. Let's go head over and throw it on the Jeep. Before I reinstall this pump, I'm going to actually install my cooler and run all my lines before I put the pump in, because it's going to kind of take up some room, and I have a lot of room in here right now to work, and it makes life a lot easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my electric cooling fan off the front of my radiator so I can install the power steering cooler on the front of the radiator. Now, I don't particularly want to install this on my radiator because these TJs already have a problem with overheating because of lack of airflow, but my winch is already blocking this whole area where I'm going to mount it, and I don't really see any other better places to mount right now, so I'm just going to use the mounting stuff that they have for the radiator. I'm going to run it that way for now and see how that works out. I can always relocate it later. Now that I got the cooling fan off, I can get to the back side of the radiator to ease with the installation of this cooler. So I'm going to mount it to the front side of the radiator with these mounting rods, and the kit came with the rods. And on the back side, it has these clips that'll snap onto it and hold it tight up against the radiator. And it has these foam pads to keep it from damaging and rubbing up against the radiator. So once I get this tight on there, you'll cut off the excess piece of this rod. I now have the power steering cooler installed on the front of the radiator. You can see I was able to utilize the factory return line right here. So the bottom line is the feed from the gearbox, so it's out of the gearbox to this cooler, and then the hose that came with the kit is off at the top. It's coming back out here. So before I put fluid in it, I just want to show you guys, see right here, this on the factory, this bolt goes all the way through on this housing right here. So it's missing this tab, it goes all the way through to bolt it down. But it does come with this new bolt right here, a short one, a little nubby one to bolt it in there. So the two top are still factory, but this one is modified here with a supplied bolt. Okay guys, I got this thing bled, and as you can hear, it's running right now. I don't hear power steering at all, which is fantastic. This pump seems to be working really good so far. So I got the pump on and the cooler in. I have it installed up against the radiator, which I don't know if I'm gonna like it there. I might move it back so it's not touching the radiator, so the heat from the radiator isn't going into the fluid. I'm not really sure. It's getting winter time, so it's probably not gonna make a difference right now. So, no power steering noise at all. So I'm done wheeling for the day. I've tested it out. It is definitely an upgrade from the other ones that I've been running. It's a lot quieter and it's performing a little bit better. It's not a ton better, a little bit better. But with my setup, I have a spool in the front with locking hubs. So it's gonna make a little bit of noise when I'm turning, no matter what I do, just the way it's set up with the big 36-inch tires with the factory style pump. It's just gonna make a little bit of noise. But driving straight down the road, totally quiet, way better. So thanks guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, give us some comments, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you on the trail.